Hey, welcome everybody. In this video, I will guide you through the process of creating an AWS S3 bucket and applying public permissions so that the files are available to anyone on the internet. In the second half of the video, I will demonstrate creating a file upload form using Next.Js and the official AWS S3 Client SDK. I will use the client-side approach to create the form component, and for the file uploads, I will implement a backend API endpoint using route handlers. I've already logged into my AWS account and I am currently on the homepage, which is the AWS console. In this part of the video, we will need to do two things. First, create our S3 bucket and then create a user which we can use in our application to interact with the storage. So first of all, let's go to the S3 bucket. I've already got it here in my favorites, but you can search for it, S3, and then it'll pop up in here. Click on it, and inside here you have your buckets listed. Let's create a new bucket, give it a name. This name is actually going to be used in the URL, so I'm going to put Redis Web Storage. For the AWS region, I'm going to leave it as Europe London. Scroll down, object ownership, I'm going to leave the default to ACLs disabled, which is the recommended option. Then here is the block public access settings for this bucket. Now the S3 bucket comes secured as default, but in this case I want my bucket to be publicly accessible so people can see the images on my website, and I'm gonna unblock all public access. Of course, we need to acknowledge this and then go down. For the bucket versioning, for this one I'm gonna disable it, and then feel free to put some tags, this is optional. And then for the default encryption, I'm gonna go with server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys, and the bucket key is enabled. That's pretty much it. Let's create our bucket. And now, as you can see here on my top bucket, you will see that this one is public, but the one that we just made says objects can be public. Now what we need to do is go inside this bucket, and in fact I'm gonna upload an image and demonstrate that this is not yet public. So let's go to upload, and then let's drag an image inside here. So add files, I'm gonna add this cat, and then let's upload. Okay, the upload is successful. Let's go to the image by clicking on the file here. And now this will give us the object URL, which contains the name of the bucket that we created, Redis Web Storage. And then at the end is the actual file name. I'm going to click on this, and as you can see, we're getting access denied, which means that our image is not public. So what we need to do now is go back to the bucket and then go to permissions, and then from here we need to go down to bucket policy and we need to edit it. If you click on the edit button, you'll be able to see a lot of policy examples, and also they have a policy generator. I'm going to copy the policy and I will paste this policy in the description below as well. But essentially this policy will allow all files to be publicly readable. Inside here, the only thing that we need to change is this line here where we have bucket name. You can find your bucket name from here. Is basically Redis Web Storage, the name that you gave it. So let's replace it. Don't replace the slash and the star here, just leave them as they are. And now we need to go down and then save changes. At this point, we should be able to go back to objects. And if we click on the cat one more time, and if we click on the URL, you'll be able to see that the images are now working, which means that our files are now publicly available and anybody can download them. The next thing that we need to do is to create a user for this bucket, which we can give permissions to upload files, edit files, and all that. And also that will give us access keys, which we can use in our application later on in this tutorial. So for this, we're going to be using the IAM, which stands for Identity and Access Management. So search for IAM, and this is the one here. So click on it, navigate down here to users, and then as you can see, I've already got one user that I've been using, but I'm going to create a new one here, create user, and then let's give it a name, Redis Storage user maybe, I don't know what to call it, and then let's go next. From here, we need to, as you can see, I've already got two groups. I was testing one earlier, but essentially we need to create a new group because you probably won't have one yet. So I'm going to create a new group. And from here, we need to give it a group name, Redis S3 demo. And then from here, we need to give it the permissions, and I'm going to give it full access permissions. So search for Amazon S3 full access, click on this, and then create user group. Okay, and now you can add many users to this user group, which will have the same attached policy pretty much. And the next thing that we need to do is click Next, create user, and that's it. Now we need to click on the user, and from here we need to create our access key. This access key is going to be used in our application, so let's click create access key. From here I'm going to use the command line interface, and then let's scroll down to the bottom, confirm your choice, and then click next. From here you can give it a little description. This is optional, and I'm just going to create the access key. Now we actually need to save the access key and the secret key. From here you can either copy and paste it into another file, or you can just download the Excel file. So click this, and I'm going to open this super quickly. And as you can see, this has the access key ID and the secret access key, which is great. Also, one more thing that I wanted to do is if you go to the S3 bucket and if you click on it super quickly, then the thing that I wanted to show you is that under properties, we have the AWS region, which we selected earlier. I'm going to copy the name from here, just this bit here, because we're going to need it in our Next.Js application. So I'm going to copy this and put region and paste it in here, and we should be good to go. Save this so we can use it later on in this tutorial. In this part, we're going to create our Next.js application from scratch just so everybody can follow along. I'm under nextjs.org, and from here, let's copy the script and let's create the application. I'm already selected the folder where I want to install my project, and I'm going to do left shift, right click and open in terminal. And this is going to cd to this folder. You can use your cd command, of course, to navigate. I'm going to dog this to the left side. And now let's paste the command, which is npx create-next-app at latest. Press enter. I will name mine S3 demo. Press enter. TypeScript no. ESLint no. Tailwind CSS no. Source directory okay. App router yes. And then default import alias is no. And this will install the project for us. If I go back to the folder here, you will see the newly created folder S3 demo. And this is where we need to go now. So let's cd to that folder, cd S3 demo, and from here we need to install the Amazon SDK. So I'm going to clear this so you can see a little bit better here at the top, and then I'm going to go to the official documentation, which is docs.aws.amazon.com. I've selected the S3 client in here, as you can see, and this will basically have pretty much everything that you need to get started. And I'm going to copy the npm installation guide here. So copy this, paste it using right click, so npm install at aws-sdk/client-s3. Press enter, and this should install everything that we need. Awesome. Now let's open this project in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to do code period and open, and this should open Visual Studio Code. Let's zoom in quite a bit so you can see I've got the project here on the left side. And the last thing that we need to do is run this project by doing npm run dev. This should start a local server on port 3000. Here it is, and I can do control and click on it, and this will open the website here on the right side. As I was finishing editing this video, Next.js released the next version, which is version 14, but there is no breaking changes. The code should work absolutely fine, and also server actions are now stable, so potentially if you wish I can do another video with server actions. Just comment below. For now, let's clear everything up just so we have a blank document, and to do this we can go under the Explorer, source, app, and then page.js, and I want to remove pretty much everything from here. I'll leave the main but delete everything else. So let's remove everything like so, and this is where our form is going to be. So form, I'm going to type it, and we don't need the image, and that's it. We're pretty much done. I will leave the default styles because when I save this it looks like the form is going to be centered, which is fine with me. Of course, you can do whatever you want with your styling. Now let's close this and let's have a look at the route handlers. Obviously in this project, we're using the latest Next.js 13 with the app router. And if you want to have a look at the API stuff, it's basically called route handlers. It took me a while to find it. This is what will allow us to create the API for this project. So if you scroll down a little bit further, you will see the basic usage. So you can swap to JavaScript and copy this. From here, if you scroll down a little bit more, you will see some of the supported HTTP methods. We have get, post, and all the standard ones pretty much. And let's start by testing our route with get, and then I'll show you how to do the post because this is what we're going to be using. Let's minimize this and open Visual Studio Code in big screen. Let's go to or app, and let's create a new folder called API. So this is where all of our API endpoints are going to live. And also the next folder is basically what our API endpoint is going to be called. So I'm going to call mine S3 upload. And this is going to be the actual URL as well. And inside here, we need to create another file called route.js, and that's it. So this is going to be our API. Let's close the page.js and let's focus on the route.js. From here, let's paste the code that I copied just now. And this is going to be an export async function, which has the get method, and then we have the request. Inside here, just to test our application, we can do return. And then we're going to be doing next response. And when I press enter, this is going to import next response from next/server. And all I want to do is display a message just to test out. So .json. And then inside here, we can do something like msg for message and then hello API. And now if I go to the browser, by the way, save this, make sure that your project is running and you don't have any errors. And if you go to the browser, if we do API/S3-upload, you'll be able to see that we're getting a JSON message of hello API, which means that our API is now working, but we're going to be using post in this tutorial because we're going to be posting data instead. So this needs to change to post. And obviously browsers, the default method is get. If I was to refresh this, it won't work, just so you know. And we can use client like the Thunder client here, or you can use Insomnia or Postman, whatever you have available. But basically, Thunder client is going to allow us to make the requests, and you can get it from the extensions here. Just search for, where is it? Search for Thunder client like this and just install it if you wish to. Now let's go to the Thunder client collections. And from here, I've already created one earlier because I was testing, but I'm going to delete it. So delete, and let's create a new one. So here we click on this menu button, new collection, and let's do S3 upload. Like so. Inside here, I'm going to do a new request. Well, it won't let me because I'm zooming so much. Let's try again. So new request, and this is going to be post file like so. And here we go. Let me zoom back in. And let's minimize this. Instead of get, we need to change this to post, and we need to enter the API URL. If I send this now, we should be able to get the same message, which is message and then hello API, which is great. Now let's go back. First of all, we need to import the S3 client that we installed earlier. So import, and then here we can do S3 client like so, and then that would do the rest basically from at AWS-SDK/client-S3. But we also want the put object command, which is going to allow us to upload the files. Put object command, this one here, and that's it. The next thing that we need to do is to set our credentials for the S3 client. So let's do it in here, const S3 client, give it a different name by the way for the const, and then new S3 client from here. So that needs to match that, but this one can be called whatever you like pretty much. Inside here, we need to put the region. You can either paste them in here, or the better way would be to put it in an env file, which we'll do in a second. And then I'm going to do credentials like so. And then for the credentials, we're going to have two options, access key ID like so. And then we're going to have the other option, which is secret access key, just so you can see it like that. And we add them in here. So what I'm going to do is create a .env file, and that needs to be in the root of the folder. So new file, and we can do env.local. And then inside here, we need to create a couple of variables. So we're going to create basically all of these. Let's see if I can copy them. Can I copy them? Yeah, kind of. So that's going to be there. That's going to be there. And then we have the region. Wow. Okay, let's create the variables now. But basically, we need to do next_public. And then I'm going to call this one AWS S3 region. And then this is going to be equals EU West 2 for me. And then the next one is going to be very much the same. So next public AWS S3, and I'm going to do underscore access underscore key underscore ID. And then this is going to be equals this ID here. And then the last one is going to be very similar. So we're going to do underscore secret underscore access underscore key. And that is going to be this key here. Just like that, we need to remove the rest. And also we're gonna need the bucket name, which I almost forgot, so I'm gonna copy this one as well. And next public underscore S3, and then I'm gonna do bucket name. Now the bucket name is gonna be under your, in fact, this is it. So the bucket name is what we pretty much call there. You can also see it from the URL. Is this here for me, Ruddy Web Storage. I'm gonna copy this. That's it, we're done with the environment variables. And now if I go back to the route, we can replace everything here by doing process.env, and then this is going to be the region. So next, so I'm going to paste the next public region. The access key is going to be process.env, and then next public, and then access key ID. And now we need the secret. So process.env.next public AWS S3 secret access key. That's pretty much everything that we need for the credentials. And now let's focus on our route here. So we're getting the request when we post, and let's wrap everything into a try catch like so. And I'm gonna copy this and put it inside the arrow, and maybe we can do error, and we can either display the error or we can just do error uploading file. And you can also display the error as well. If you wish to, you can grab it from here. For the next one, inside the try, let's make some space so we can see a little bit better. And we need to start with the form. So basically, we're going to create a form, and then inside this form, we're going to have different fields, and different fields are going to have different names. For example, in this case, we're going to have a field with the name file. So we want to grab the file. And to do this, we can do const, and we can store all the form data into a const of form data to be descriptive as possible, and then await, because this is an asynchronous function, we can do that. And then we can use the request from here, which comes from the server, and then we use form data like so. Now this is going to give us access to the input. So for example, you might want to have an image or whatever. In this case, I'm just going to keep it generic and have file. So we want to grab the file from the form, and then in this case, we're going to be using the form data. And then to get the file, we can just use the, field name in this case, which is going to be file, or you can call it whatever you like. I'll demonstrate this in a second from here. And now at this point inside here, you can do your checks. Now you might want to allow your users to upload zip files or images. You might want to restrict them from uploading certain files, or restrict them from uploading big files, small files, you know. So you have to do your checks in here. So in this case, is put if we don't get a file, then we want to return something. So I'm going to do return next response, and then inside here, I'm just going to do JSON. Let's do error. And then this error is just going to say file is required. So we are basically checking if we have file, and then if we don't, we return the error. And also you can put a status here if you wish to, by doing status of 400. Now the next thing that we need to do is, if we have a file, I'm going to be using buffer, and buffer, it's almost like this YouTube video that you're watching now. Instead of the whole video being downloaded first so you're able to watch it, what YouTube does is they load bits to start with so you can start watching it. It kind of works that way. And then buffer, and then from here we do from await, and then file, which we are grabbing from here, so from the form, and then this is going to be array buffer like so. And then from here we're going to do const file name equals await, and we're going to have to create a function here which is going to upload the file for us. So inside this function, let's call it something like upload file to S3, and then inside here we're going to pass two things. We're going to pass the buffer, and we're going to pass the file.name like so. And I'll show you how this works in a second. I think that's fine. And now we need a next response as well inside here if we're successful. So I'm going to copy and paste one. And instead of error, we can put success, set this to true. We can also pass the file name like so. Awesome. I think this is looking good. So now we need to create this function. We can create it pretty much anywhere we like. So let's create it around here. So this is going to be an asynchronous function, async function, and then it's going to have the file, it's going to have the name of upload file to S3. And from here, we can grab the file that we're passing and then the file name like so. Now from here, we can store the file into a const file buffer, and this is going to be equals the file that we're grabbing from here. And then if you wish to, you can even console log the file name. Like let's do console.log and then we do file name like so. Okay. Technically speaking, we can potentially test this if everything is looking good. Yep, we can test this. So if I go back to the Thunder client and if I click on body and then under form, if we look here on the right side, you can select file. So this is going to open this option to upload file. And this is the field name. This is what we are basically, where is it? This is what we are getting from the form. This is going to be the field name. So the field name is file like that. And now we can upload an image or well, a file. I'm going to grab this image here, cat.jpg, and let's click send. Okay, success true. So this is good. And also I wanted to show you because we console log the file name. Hopefully if I go back to the console of Next.Js, you should be able to see that we're getting cat.jpg, which was the name of the file. So you can definitely use this to store it into your database and retrieve it later on. The next thing that we need to do is set up the bucket parameters so we're able to upload file, and we can also say where to upload it, change the namings and all that. Const params, and then inside here we need to put a few parameters. So the first one is going to be the bucket name, bucket, and then from here we can do process.env, and then I forgot what it's called, so I'm going to go to the .env local and it's called bucket name. Let's paste it inside here. Then we need the key. Now the key here is basically your folder and your file name. You could potentially create a folder by doing, I don't know, my folder. And in fact, we can maybe test this, or you can just put your file name inside here. I've got single slanted quotes just so I can do template literals, so it's a little bit easier. But essentially I can grab the file name, which is cat.jpg in this case, and literally this will save us cat.jpg. But if you want to have unique names, you can use other libraries, or you can just do $ and then date dot now. That's it. And then we put comma, and then for the body, is basically the actual file. So we can grab it from here, or we can just use file. So I can grab file buffer. This could be quite useful in here if you want to optimize before upload, but again, I don't know what you're going to be uploading. So we're just going to upload the normal file as it is, image buffer. And then the last thing that we can set is the content type. And then for the content type, I'm going to put image in this case, and then JPEG. And that's it. Of course, you can change this to whatever you wish. The last thing that we need to do is to use this PublicReadGetObject command, which essentially is going to upload the file to our bucket, or allow us to do that. We can do const command equals new and then PublicReadGetObject command like so. And then inside here, we pass the parameters that we just created. Now we can do await, and then we can grab the S3 client, which is this one here. Don't mistake it. Don't put it like that. Put it with small or name it something else. So S3 client like so, and then .send. That's it. And then we can send the entire command from here. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, we can return file name like so, and that's it. Now, if we tidy things up, let's save this. Let's go back to the browser. Let's go back to my bucket super quickly. So we have object. And earlier in this tutorial, I showed you that I uploaded this cat, but I'm going to refresh right now. And as you can see, this was uploaded at 12:50:47. Let's try to upload an image. So I'm going to go to post file here from Thunder client. And then obviously make sure that you select. So that needs to be called file. Select your file. It's already, the cat.jpg is already selected. So I'm just going to press send. Okay, now the file is successfully uploaded. And if I go back to my S3 bucket, then ready web storage, and here we go. We have the previous cat that we uploaded, and we have the one that we just done with the current date. Obviously, this is how it looks unformatted, And if I click on the image, you can see here the size and you can click on it and it will display in the browser, which is great. One thing that I wanted to show you super quickly is that if you go back to our route.js here, and inside here is where you can specify your folder if you wish to. So I can do my folder / and then the file name. In fact, we can remove the date now and just do the file name, save it, and let's re-upload the file. So success true, file name cat.jpg. If we go back, refresh, we should be able to see my folder here at the bottom. Click on it and you see that we're getting cat.jpg. Now the problem with not having a unique name is that if I re-upload this file, it's going to replace it. So look at the time right now. If I just send another one and if we refresh, it will just re-upload this file, which means that the old file will be replaced. So watch out for that. Make sure that you have unique names if you need to. And that's pretty much it for this part. So in the next part, we're going to create the front end form inside Next.Js. Let's go to localhost of 3000. And this is where we have our form. Now I'm going to close this. I'm going to close the environment variable and we have our API working. Now, in this case, it's pretty much up to you how you want to do it. You can do it as a component or whatever. Let's just do component. And inside here, I'm going to create a new component and I can name it S3 upload form.jsx and that's it. Let's close this. Now let's import this component inside our page. So I'm going to do import S3 upload form and then this is going to be from. We can use the @ symbol and then app components and then S3 upload form. And now we can use this form inside here just by doing this. And that's it. And you can pass properties if you wish to. And so obviously this is not going to work just yet. So let's create the form here. And for this, I'm going to be using client. So use client. By the way, I have done this with server actions as well. If you wish, I can show you in another video, just comment below. It worked really well, actually. I prefer with server actions, but they're still in development. So potentially they might change. So that's why I'm doing it with an API. Anyways, inside here, we're going to have to create a function, const upload form, and then this is going to be another function like so. We need to export it. So export and then default, and then this is going to be upload form like so. Inside here we need to do a return and then inside the return we can put our form. Okay, let's have a look whether this works. Form, great. So everything is working so far and we can start building our form. Let's do a right click and format this document and I'm going to remove this to be 2. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is inside here I'm going to create an h1 and I'm just going to do upload files to S3 Bucket. And now we need to create our form. So this is going to be form like so, open and close. And inside this form, we're going to have a non-submit event listener. And then this is going to be handle file, or no, handle submit. And then we're going to have an input. This input is going to be the type of file. And this is going to be accept. We can just accept any files if you wish, or you can just do image and all sorts of images like that, or you can list the files. And then we're going to do on change handle file change like so, and we need to close it. So we're going to have to create a button for this form. So let's do a button with the type of submit, and then this is going to be having a disabled. So when we upload the file, we want to disable it and enable it. So I'm going to do, we want to say uploading, and then inside here we're going to do uploading question mark, and then we can check when the file is uploading, or if it's not uploading, we can just have the button as upload. So dot and then or upload. Cool. So this is probably going to break if I save it. Let's have a look. Yep, that's absolutely fine because we don't have any of the functions. And now let's create the functions. Here at the top, we're going to have to import use state. So import use state from React like so. Oh, that looks weird. Let's remove it. And now inside here, we're going to do const file, set file, and then we're going to do use state. and the original state is going to be equals null. And now we need to do the same thing for the uploading. So we can do another one, uploading, and then set uploading. And then the use state for this will be false or true, false as default. Now we need to create the handle file change here. So when we change the file, we want to grab the actual file from the form. And to do this, there are multiple methods, but we can do const handle file change event. This is where we can grab the actual file from. And then this is going to be, so set file from our use state here. We want to set the file to e.target and then .file, and then we grab the first file because we are only allowing one upload in this case. And then we need to create the last thing, the handle on submit form, which is going to be here. So this is going to be a const handle submit, and we're going to do an async e, and then inside here we can do e.prevent default because we don't want the form to be kind of like refreshing the browser. That's the default behavior. And we can check if we don't get a file, then we return. But if we do get a file, we can set the uploading to true. So we're getting this message uploading ... You can put a nice animation here as well. Now we need to grab the form data by doing pretty much the same thing with like in the router. So we can do const form data equals new form data, and from here we can do form data dot append, and then we're gonna append the file and then the actual file. So inside here we can do our fetch. Let's wrap it into a try catch. For the catch we can do console.log, and then we can just log the error, or you can put a nice message instead. We can set the uploading to false, set uploading to false, like so. And now inside here we can do our fetch, so const and then response equals await fetch, and then inside here we need to paste the API route, which is going to be API/S3 upload. And now from here we need to put the method. Whoops. And now inside here we need to put the method of post because we're posting data, and then body we need to paste the form data. So let's do that. Okay, and this is screaming because I messed up with this. We need to remove this and just have the comma. This was put at the back. Okay, yeah. And the last thing that we need to do is const data equals await, and we await for the response .json, like so, and then console.log. We can do data.status. The last thing that we need to do is reset the set uploading to false. So we are no longer uploading because the file is uploaded. So set uploading to false. And I think that's it. If I save this, right click, format super quickly, that's looking better. Okay, and just now I spotted one more mistake in here. I don't need that. Make sure that you remove it. So this is how your code should look like. And now if I go back to the website and let's upload a new file. So let's rename this to rename cat new, and let's upload this. Upload, uploading, and then done. So if I go back to my S3 bucket, click on Redis web storage, and I'm not sure which one it is actually. Let's have a look here. Okay, here we go. So it was inside the folder here, cat new, and this was because in my route I think I left the folder here. So if I remove this and we just have the file name, hopefully now if I go back to my storage, hopefully we should see it inside here. In fact, I'll delete everything. So I'll delete, permanently delete. Cool. So we have absolutely nothing here. I'm going to go to the website, refresh here, browse, cat new, upload. If I go back to the bucket, refresh, and as you can see, we have the picture of the cat here, you have everything about it, and if I click on it, you will see that the cat appears. And that's pretty much everything from this tutorial. I hope that you found it useful. Consider subscribing to my channel, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye!